Bam.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Fantasy Fullback Dive, brought to you by the good people at the Roto Street Journal, paving your way to fantasy excellence, acting as your lead blocker to fantasy glory, fantasy championships, all that good fantasy stuff. I'm your host, Nat the Truth Jones, making a rare Monday appearance.
Yeah.
And with me, as always, the Wolf of Roto Street himself. Wolf, how you doing? We got I want to say it's an exciting Monday night game. It's not really, but this is fantasy, so it doesn't really matter. How are your teams doing this week? Do you have anything on the line tonight? I do not.
I sure do. Yeah. So one, I need to get, it's not a lot. I should win. I think 7 to 8 combined points from Callaway and Alex Collins. But this is the type of sick thing that's like Collins will get ding up in his groin early on. Callaway won't see a target all game. Like I feel good. I should win 100%.
Yeah, you should win.
I'm like an 87% favorite at this point, but you never know. So I'll have to sweat until at least one of those guys scores or does something notable. We'll find out. You said you don't have anything on the line tonight, though, Matt?
No, I won by 60. My game's over. The Cup Stafford stack was too much for them to overcome.
Oh, that's just monstrous. Yeah, we're going to talk about Cooper Kupp today. And as you guys know, usually it's just me solo, but the Truth wanted to join. He missed me. We didn't get our Sunday night show in, so he missed my sexy face and had to talk to me today. So we will be doing the usual risers, fallers, as you guys have come to know. But we'll be alternating each player, going through all the usage snaps, all that good stuff. You guys know how it goes. But we do have some news, Nat, we got to cover before we get into those. And that's Davante.
Well, before anything else, give us a like.
Oh, of course, guys. Yeah, we see some of you guys have already hit that like button. Thank you so much. If you have any Monday Night Football or rest of season trades, any of that good stuff, questions, get them on in. We're going to hit questions as we always do. You guys know this by now. But any questions you have or you just want to say hello or any risers or followers we might miss, get those on in the comments now. We'll make sure to hit the mailbag as soon as we're all done. It takes about 45 minutes or so, maybe even less, to get through all these names. But today we do have some other news, so maybe it'll take just a little bit longer, starting with Mr. Davante Adams.
He's on the COVID list.
Fuck.
He's probably not playing on Thursday. Hope you don't own him too much, but I know you do.
I have him everywhere. He's my first rounder, and he's panned out enormously huge by being so. I absolutely love the guy. I also have Aaron Rodgers in most of those leagues where I own Davante Adams, stacking those two up. So this is brutal. He does have a slight chance because he is vaccinated. The team has good COVID protocol in the past, according to the reporters I've been reading and scouring the news for. So there is a chance he has to get two 24 hours apart COVID-19 negatives, and we'll see if he can do it. I really hope so. It's going to come right down to the wire because obviously I love this guy. Weirdly enough, in the games he's missed over the last couple years, last 2 seasons, Rodgers averages 311 passing yards and 2.8 TDs without Adams, whereas he only has 248 and 2.2 passing TDs with him. I don't know why. I don't know how it makes sense. I don't buy into this being like, this is what's going to happen now. Rodgers is going to blow up without Adams. But just so you know, it's just like, don't hit the panic button on Rodgers without Adams in a potential shootout game. He should still put up some stats. But kind of wild, though, right, Nat? Like,
hot take of the night. Packers better without Davante Adams? Question mark?
It's insane. I don't get why those numbers are what they are.
Don't you think that probably means, I mean, I don't know. I'm totally talking out of my ass here, but don't you think that probably means maybe in games that he wasn't in there, more likely to get down and have to pass?
Yeah, I mean, most likely. I think that's exactly what it means. It also does have a big impact on Aaron Jones. He averages 14.6 carries and 6.0 targets per game without Adams. That's a bump into nearly 2 targets and a whole carry per game. So big usage bump for him. Of course, the ancillary receivers, guys like Alan Lazard, who's coming off of 2 decent games in a row. He's going to see some more. He had a nice touchdown last week again, the Cardinals shootout style game. Maybe MVS is going to be back off the IR, so we'll see if MVS makes it, but probably less likely this time, given that it's a short week. So we'll see. Randall Cobb would get a big boost in terms of usage and targets and all that good stuff. So it would obviously a wait-and-see approach. We don't know quite where this is going to pan out, but a lot of guys out there on waiver wires in Lazard, in Randall Cobb, and Tunyon coming off a big day this last week. Maybe he sees some more work. But I would not be overreacting for Aaron Rodgers, even though it seems like he should be nothing without Adams. For some reason, he is better, most likely, as you were saying, Nat, because he has to throw more often. So that's the Davante Adams fallout so far.
All right, let's get into it. Let's talk quarterbacks. We got a lot. Let's talk Monday Night Football first, and then let's hit quarterbacks. We got a lot of stuff to cover. If you're desperate,
yeah,
and this is key here, if you're desperate, Rashad Penny, Traquan Smith, they might be some desperation pickups. What do you think? You got anything to add to that?
Both very desperate, but we do know Carson is without a timetable right now. Who knows how long this is going to linger? I mean, he was supposedly about to be back, and then the next day he goes on the IR because Carroll just never tells the truth about anything. He's always so sunny and optimistic about his players. So Penny, we've seen some great juice out of this guy. He always gets hurt right after displaying the great juice, so I don't have high hopes. But let's stash him ahead of the game, see what happens. He's only 30% or so rostered right now, and far less rostered is Traquan Smith, who might be the wide receiver one. You know, Callaway, I love Callaway. I think he's going to have a big game tonight. But Traquan's had huge games in the past as well, including with Jameis. He had all his touchdowns last year came from Jameis, shockingly. Even though Jameis attempted like 3 passes, they were touchdowns to Traquan Smith.
They were all touchdowns to Traquan.
You never know. You never know what could happen there. Guys that are worth stashes ahead of the game, if you have trash to cut after this or injuries to cut, things of that nature heading into the game. And I have seen the Seattle Seahawks also added as a popular play for defense for next week because they're facing the Jags. I think they're so bad that it doesn't really matter. I'm not like wasting a early roster spot or anything of that nature on them. The last player, we'll talk about Deshaun Watson a little bit. We have some news on him that we're gonna have to talk about, but we'll get into QBs. That's where
let's talk quarterbacks.
Yeah,
and I'll get the ball rolling here. What the hell is happening to Pat Mahomes? What's going on? Patrick Mahomes. Here's the stat line: 20 of 35 passes. So for a nice like 55% clip there. 206 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick, and then he left the game early after taking a big fourth quarter hit. Didn't matter. They were just getting smoked by the Titans, who have a bad defense last time I checked.
Awful.
What's going on?
He is tied with this glorious QB, Zach Wilson, for the most interceptions in the league. Pat Mahomes is. He's in the past typically taken great care of the ball. I have no idea what is happening. This is the first time he scored fewer than 10 points other than in a full game ever.
Is this the worst game he's ever played?
Yes, there's one other game against Denver where he got hurt early and scored fewer than 10 points. The only other time. This is his worst game of his career. No doubt about it. Worst season so far and away. No doubt about it. Mitch Chavez, I don't know if you're in the chat, but please let us know what is going on with the Chiefs. What is happening? It is easy to buy on a rebound too. But honestly, like if you could sell Mahomes and somebody thinks they're getting savvy and buying low, like I'm not opposed to trading him. You think he's going to come back with a vengeance and light it up. But we've been saying that almost all year. It's just a brutal blow. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, just not quite at these first round levels that we've come accustomed to. I do think they'll rebound. It's the Chiefs. It's Mahomes. It's an easy rebound bet to make, but something is different this year. There's no doubt about it.
We had a trade involving Mahomes in our league, in my hometown league. It happened last night. Whoever had Mahomes and paid through the nose for him, by the way, this is why you shouldn't reach for a quarterback in an auction and spend $35 on him or whatever. The deal in our league, Mahomes just got traded for Russell Wilson, who is injured, and Adam Thielen. So,
Good thing you splurged on him. My God. Tua, another QB riser, going 32 of 40 passes. So 47 and 40 pass attempts across his last 2 games. 291, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One of them was one of the most atrocious picks I think I've ever seen in my entire life. But this is a big 2-week span in a row. He gets the Texans coming up in just a couple of weeks. This is a streamer that I think you got to hold on to. And you never know if he's going to end up getting moved. All these trade rumors surrounding him, Deshaun Watson. Either way, if you stashed him and streamed him, our streamer of the week, it certainly panned out over 28 fantasy points. Hopefully, I would say continue to hold on and see where does he land. There's rumblings to Washington. That would be interesting for sure with those weapons.
Well, there's the Deshaun Watson rumors circulating still. That's got to make you a little bit uncomfortable if you're a Tua guy. Although who knows, maybe you like the Washington destination better. It's worth noting that the guy, as good as his line was kind of on paper, 80% completion rate, he only threw 1 ball over 20 yards. So I don't know. I mean, Tua seems limited to me, and it seems like whether you're going to start him or not, maybe more dependent on matchup than anything else.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
All right, let's move on to Joe Burrow, who looks like the real deal, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 23 of 38, 416 yards, 3 touchdowns, interception in their win against the Ravens. I believe this was the only matchup this week between 2 teams that had winning records, believe it or not. It was a lousy week for matchups in the NFL. And the Bengals came out on top, and now the Bengals are on top of the AFC North. Joe Burrow looked like a monster. He's got an incredible receiving core, albeit Tyler Boyd seems droppable completely. But, I mean, throwing to Jamar Chase, the guy looks amazing, right?
Oh, yeah, he's insane. We're going to talk about them when we get to wide receivers, no doubt about it. But Burrow himself, not only are they atop the AFC North now, they're atop the AFC right now. They'd have the 1 seed if the season ended today.
Really?
Yes, the Bengals are the number 1 team in the AFC right now. How insane is that?
I didn't see that coming.
No, it's crazy. But again, what's really encouraging for Burrow, specifically from a fantasy perspective, early in the season, one of the slowest paced teams, one of the most run-heavy teams since week 3, they had a 32% neutral pass rate. So they were running the ball every single time it was neutral or they were up. 56%, 60%, 50%, now 59%. So they've really increased the rate in which they're passing. Last year, that was at like 65%. It was insane. But this is just good to see them picking that pace back up for his season-long value. Someone who does not have any season-long value at this point, Justin Fields. Sorry we recommended him, folks. Pathetic. And maybe it's Nagy. I think a lot of it's Fields too. Horrible decision-making, awful reading of the field. 184, 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles. Oh, got 8 rushes for 38 yards. This is where the Konami code no longer matters. It
doesn't matter.
It does not matter when your quarterback is playing this shitty. Now, he is not being helped by his play caller. He has a 99 passer rating when he does use play action compared to 49.7 on traditional dropbacks. They are running play action at one of the lowest rates in the league. So they're not really helping him out and rolling him out and using the fakes and all that good stuff. But either way, he doesn't look good. I guess our one hope is Matt Nagy does have COVID. So maybe that will eventually usher in a new.
That's not a hope. That's an actual thing.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. The hope is that maybe they'll actually boost this offense without Nagy on the sidelines. But man, it is just awful. And I don't think it's all on Nagy. It is a lot on Nagy. He's not helping his quarterback out, but Fields just doesn't look ready. He doesn't look good.
I'm not going to make excuses for Nagy. I'm not going to defend Nagy, but Fields looks bad.
Like, he does look bad. Absolutely.
On top of that, like
I'm very pumped.
It's like it's like pining away for Andy Dalton to come back.
Yeah, right. Please, right. Red Rifle, we need you.
Or Trubisky. Speaking of guys who suck, again.
How about Trubisky, by the way? Now I know we got a ton of things to talk about.
No, it's okay.
Do you think like Trubisky might not be that bad and it's just like a Nagy problem? And if he
yes,
got a shot
I do think
else,
that. I think that.
I mean, to give it a shot.
Let's find out. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to like sit here and stump for Mitch Trubisky, but I at least have questions.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Speaking of a guy that we had questions about because they were in a shitty situation, Sam Darnold. Let's talk about him, man. After like 3 weeks, we were just like, wow, Sam Darnold's like, he's all man. Like this is a real NFL quarterback here. It was the Jets. Maybe not.
No.
What do you
173 yards of offense before he got benched for none other than XFL legend PJ Walker, who came in and completed 3 of 14 passes, 33 yards, did not look any better than Sam Darnold, probably even worse there. But there's a reason they are now in the Deshaun Watson trade sweepstakes, which we got 2 more quarterbacks to cover till we get there. But it's just crazy that Darnold was literally the QB5 for the first 3 weeks. And then you look at the matchups and you're like, okay, this was 100% matchup driven. And now that he gets
like when Giants, Denver was 3-0, but the teams that they had played against were 0-9.
Pathetic. A lot of teams milking that early season schedule. The one thing now is, though, he got the Giants this week. Like, this was supposed to be, okay, maybe you can rebound. You get another crap team giving up the 10th most or 8th most points to QBs. You should be able to rebound here. And no, they did not move the ball at all. They were stuffed all day. It's sad. It's just sad to watch. I was looking forward to rooting for him and this good comeback story, but it just wasn't only Gase and the Jets. It was clearly Darnold has his own faults as well.
Yep.
And then, Trey Lance. Maybe he's going to come back now, though. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo maybe was taking a little more heat than he maybe deserved from that game. I watched that game. I mean, it was like a torrential downpour. Like nobody could hold on to the ball, including Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, you could tell when he was throwing, he was like kind of aiming it, like just hoping it would go where he wanted it to go. I mean, he did hit Debo basically in the chest with that pass that ended up getting picked. I mean, it was in traffic. Maybe a bad decision. I don't know. I think it would be tough for me to think about benching Jimmy G based on that game.
The only thing, too, though, is now they're 2-4. The postseason hopes are kind of going down the drain. It's more so just, again, Trey Lance getting dropped across a ton of leagues. Go stash him because, again,
I dropped him.
I want to keep – and you probably should have, especially during bye week hell. But we want to keep reemphasizing the playoff schedule. Atlanta, Tennessee, Houston, 3 of the easiest possible matchups.
Tennessee, who held the Chiefs to 3 points.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on. Like, they've been a gold mine for fantasy QB every single time, other than Pat Mahomes. Go figure. who knows? But again, I want to emphasize that the Konami upside is so big with him, as it is with Jalen Hurts. And I don't even know if he rises at this point. I just want to reemphasize, no matter how bad he looked bad all week. Again, 232, 2 TDs, but also 61 yards on the ground, another over 20 fantasy points. And what I found crazy.
All coming in the fourth, right?
It's all coming in the fourth. This is the modern day Blake Bortles, folks, the garbage time king. I don't know why or how it can't happen in the earlier quarters. Why are they not dialing up these runs? I think it's just a matter of they get down so big and it's just, okay, go do something for us, Hurts. And he does. He comes out running all over the place in the fourth quarter. So just crazy to see that, indeed.
All right, latest on Deshaun Watson. Ian Rappaport reports that there is a quote-unquote good chance that he is traded by NFL's November 2nd trade deadline. Sure. Maybe there's a good chance. We know that the Panthers have expressed interest. We know that the Dolphins have expressed interest. Is there any other landing spot that you think is plausible? And do you think the guy will play if he gets traded?
So that's what the question's always been is he just going to get immediately sat in the commissioner's list? But Rappaport tweeting that he's expected to be able to play immediately and that until the legal findings are fully researched, whatever the decision's made there, they might let him just play it out, which I imagine is going to come with a shitstorm of backlash and probably should. But either way, fantasy-wise, if you can stomach playing somebody that's likely a scumbag and did some horrible things, at the end of the day, that's what fantasy is. On the Panthers especially, that's kind of the team I really hope. Like the Dolphins, yeah, it's intriguing in some sense, but the Panthers, in terms of Joe Brady's offense, in terms of Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall when he comes back, and then, of course, Christian McCaffrey, if he ever gets healthy. That is an explosive team that seems like they truly are a QB away. I mean, they were putting up points with Darnold. Never mind what if they get the league's leading passer of last year. It sounds like the Dolphins, though, they are, quote-unquote, for Jay Glazer, and he seems to be the most tapped in about anybody in all these situations, especially this one. They're very heavily engaged, and you've got to beat Miami's offer. So it sounds like he is going to get traded. It's probably going to be to Miami unless a team like the Panthers. The only other team that's been rumored before were the Broncos, which would also be a really interesting spot. They were apparently ready to make a haul for him, and then with the legal stuff, they've dropped out since. Who knows if they'll re-engage? And then also the Eagles have been linked quite often. It doesn't look like Hurts is a long-term answer. They have so many first-round picks. Maybe that becomes a team as well. But my guess is it happens to be the Dolphins. 1-6. I don't know why you're doing that either, but who am I? We'll see. And just well worth the stash at this point. We said this earlier on Thursday. Until November 2nd passes, he should be on every single fantasy football roster because he's a top 8 weekly QB whenever he's out there.
All right. Give us a like, folks. We're moving on to running backs. We're going to start with Eli Mitchell, who the Wolf was not as high on as I was last week. But Eli Mitchell, based really on the strength of an extremely strong first quarter or first drive, we'll even say, ended up with 18 rushes for 107 yards and a touchdown against the Colts. Snap count favored him hugely over, Jermichael Hasty at 34% of the snaps, Mitchell at 66%, Trey Sermon 0%. I'm hoping that on this list, there's going to be a drop Trey Sermon command. I haven't looked ahead. Mitchell got 18 carries. Hasty had 3. Hasty was targeted 6 times to Mitchell 0, as Mitchell did come out pretty much on third down every single drive when they got there.
Exactly. But you do have the clear-cut, far and away early down rusher with that type of workload, and he looked damn good. This was the first time I've got to really watch an extensive action. Now, granted, it was the rain, and people were slipping and sliding all over the place, but he was showing some great bursts while he hit the hole. Nice reads of the zone blocking scheme. I mean, if you're getting 18 to 20 carries out of Eli Mitchell moving forward, he's going to be a weekly top 10 guy. I was clearly wrong to be down on him. He only had one good game ahead of this against the Lions. I thought that was just like kind of a 1 week wonder. Nope, this guy can ball. This was a good linebacking core that he was putting in the blender quite often. Good to see. But yes, cut Trey Sermon. Not even a snap. Never mind a carry. Didn't see a single snap. Definitely on the cut list. Now we got the Eagles backfield in with Miles Sanders suffering this ankle injury. They're all up in flux. Gainwell did lead the team in targets and snaps. He had 4 catches, 41 yards, and a TD through the air, another 20 yards on the ground, but it was concerningly out-carried by Boston Scott, who did run in a touchdown as well as 24 yards. Those two will likely form a committee. Gainwell, definitely the most attractive back there, much more talented, certainly more higher usage in the receiving game, which is weird because that's always been Scott's forte, but Gainwell's the guy getting that workload under the new coaching staff. But even still, Boston Scott should be added with this injury. There's no word yet other than they don't think anything's been broken by Sanders, but he also does not have a timetable moving forward. That does not sound good. It seems like something that's going to be at least a few weeks.
DeAndre Swift now officially in the conversation for being one of the top value draft picks in the 2021 draft, fantasy draft, that is. 13 rushes for 48 yards. That's not that impressive. However, he added 8 catches for 96 and a touchdown. McCaffrey-esque type numbers. Produced a ton of points. I think he had 29 PPR points, something like that. That is no joke. I mean, there's so much garbage time, and I mean, for the Lions, although it didn't really happen in this game, it was tight. They actually needed him to produce in clutch situations, and by and large, he did, right?
Every time he gets the ball, he produces. He is such a dynamite player, the league leader in fantasy points per touch last year, carrying right where he left off. He has 100 more. Well, I guess Patterson is 95 yards away, and he's kind of a wide receiver running back hybrid. Swift has 95 yards more than him, which is just crazy, and that's the second closest guy. That's how dynamite this guy's been as a receiver. We projected that going into the year. I thought it was crazy when I looked at it. I was like, holy crap, do I really have this guy catching 80 balls? And I might have been too low on his receiving production. It's just insane how often he's being targeted. I think Jonathan Taylor, Swift's right up there in your top 5 moving forward. I think Tayller also, especially in standard and half PPR leagues, looking fantastic. And 18 carries, 107 yards, a score, third 100-yard game in the last 4 weeks. But more importantly, he went from, under half of the snaps to start the year to now seeing 65% and then 69% this last week. I believe Hines saw 1, maybe 2 touches the entire week. The usage, the snap total, everything is bumping up, and Taylor is running like a monster. He also leads the league in carries inside the 10-yard line. What a beast. He's really coming around. He was the ultimate buy low just a few weeks ago.
This is taking you in the way back machine here to last Thursday. Dearness Johnson, 22 rushes, 146 yards, and a touchdown. Also had 2 catches for another 22. I went against this guy in fantasy, and it was just killing me watching this happen. Kind of makes you think that the Browns' offensive line is just the real story here, maybe. Although 100%. I thought that Johnson did look good, but I'm like, maybe anyone would look good behind it.
Yeah, he really did read the ball the right way. He only has 4.8 speed, so everyone wrote him off as a horrible play. Except us on Thursday night. I remember we were telling everybody to play him. Thank God we did too.
Yeah.
It is the line. It is that was the whole thesis behind the play. The line, the carries, the production that this backfield consistently has. He saw 50 snaps compared to 22 for Felton, ran 16 routes compared to 13 for Felton. So he was the main pass catching back. And that's why I wanted to put him on here, because he might take over that Kareem Hunt role, at least until obviously when Hunt's back. He was a monster. He's going to take the role back. But we don't know how long that injury is going to last. It did not look good. Chubb's expected back, but I do think Dearness Johnson's going to have some regular value until we see Hunt back. He's the all-time leader in running back receptions at USF, all-purpose yards from running backs. I mean, the guy can catch the ball. I think everybody thinks gross plotter just because he's slow. He has nice soft hands, a good route runner, and clearly can read these zone blocks quite well. What a monstrous performance. It felt wrong to keep him off the list, even though it was Thursday. Had to do it. Josh Jacobs, you got to monitor that bye-week injury. He did hurt his chest. They're saying it's not too serious as of right now, so my guess is with the bye week he'll be back. But if not, Kenyan Drake saw 14 carries, 69 yards, and a score, another 3 catches for 10 yards. And ever since the new coach has taken over, the interim there, he seems to be getting Drake more involved. Jacobs, in fact, called for Drake to be more involved as Alabama boy there. And so far, so good. He's had over 14 fantasy points in back-to-back weeks. I don't think that remains steady, but if he's seeing 12 to 15 touches, that's kind of when Drake's been at his best. We were excited about him as a workhorse and all this stuff coming in last year. It's not his thing, but when he gets a nice steady 14-ish, 12 to 14 and a 1B role, that's when he's at his best. And it seems like that's what this role is evolving to. Still out there in a lot of leagues. Go check for Kenyan Drake.
Speaking of 14 carries, Cordarrelle Patterson's done that now 2 weeks in a row on each side of their bye. And coming out of the bye, the big thing that happened is this guy is finally, as he really has seemed for the whole year, he's kind of officially the Falcons running back 1 now. He touched Mike Davis 16-4, and I believe outrushed him 14 carries to 4. Davis not involved in the passing game at all. I actually had somebody in my league announce on the message board they were trying to deal Davis after that game, and they advertised him as Atlanta's RB1, which I was like, on no planet is that true. Davis seems like a cut to me, but I don't know. Patterson ended up, we said his floor is 15. I think he had 14.2 fantasy points PPR. He's taken over the backfield.
Yeah, he's a monster. This is his job. 19 opportunities. So, yes, 16 touches, but also 3 targets that did go incomplete compared to 4 for Mike Davis. Not even close in terms of usage at this point. Davis, a nice robust 10 yards on his 4 carries, a nice 1.0 for you. Awful. Just useless, awful. And Patterson's the one that's getting all the goal line work, too. There's no appeal to Mike Davis. I absolutely agree with you, Nat, that he is a cut candidate. Shocked to see Khalil Herbert, who I did recommend to bench. This was one of our worst calls of the week. It's sketchy with Damian Williams coming back. How's it going to be divided up? Well, Khalil Herbert saw 23 of the running back opportunities compared to just 4 for Damian Williams and 1 for Ryan Nall. He also took those opportunities, ran for 100 yards against the Bucs. That's only happened 3 times since the end of 2018, which is wild. Meanwhile, Williams himself completely useless. Obviously, you're cutting this guy this week. 3 rushes, 5 yards, 1 catch for 3 yards. Complete non-factor in terms of snaps, in terms of touches, in terms of productions. This was the Herbert show. Not only did he have 100 yards on the ground, he did also have 5 catches and 33 yards. It was kind of rumbling that he wasn't much of a receiver. He's the guy there, though. Yes, Montgomery's going to be back, and Montgomery will probably take over the every down back role, but this is the guy you want to own behind him, not Damian Williams moving forward.
Patriots went completely apeshit on the Jets,
53
to 14. I'm sure that a lot of aggression for these New England fans came out. Red Sox losing, all that stuff. I'm sure you really enjoyed this one. Damian Harris had a huge day, and Bolden had a James White-esque day. Harris, 14 rushes, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. Great game. I also had 2 catches for 7 yards on the only 2 times he was targeted. Brandon Bolden, 6 out of 7 targets for 79 and a touchdown. Also had 2 rushes, went nowhere, but that's not the story. Like James White, great receiving, running back. And, man, you can rack up a lot of fantasy points if you're getting 7 balls thrown your way out of the backfield.
Absolutely. And he was our stream of the day with so many desperations at running backs. He ended up being one of our highest recommended guys. Was so pumped to see it after Ramondre Stevenson, who was going to be our stream of the week, was a healthy scratch. We ultimately just turned Stevenson into one of our favorite streams and gave it to Bolden, and look what he did. Awesome performance from him. Great performance from Harris. It's almost sad to know that Harris had 2 touchdowns vultured by J.J. Taylor late in the game because the Pats were up so big. If the Jets had any type of pulse, we might have been looking at a 4-touchdown day from Harris. So very encouraging to see that moving forward. No doubt about it. Not encouraging to see Antonio Gibson playing fewer snaps than J.D. McKissic. Awful stuff. He's dealing with this shin injury, and clearly it's impacting his playing time, his ability. I wonder if they shut him down at least for a few weeks, if not the entire season, given this year has gone completely haywire. He did see 14 carries compared to just 4 for McKissic. Gibson, 51 yards on the ground, caught both his targets for 5 yards, but the usage is just so pathetic. Route rate goes from 40% down to 30%, down to 21%, 5% target share these last 2 weeks. Just abysmal, just awful. Meanwhile, we did see McKissic, as we said, lead the team in snaps. He played 46% of the snaps compared to 30% for just Antonio Gibson. And then 22 yards on the ground, 34 through the air. Not a great day for McKissic, but usage-wise, he's the guy that's going to be in there more often, more likely because they suck so bad, the football team. They're going to need a guy that gets that receiving production, but definitely wanted to note how bad this has been for Antonio Gibson. Probably the bust of the year, if not Allen Robinson, who we'll talk about in a little bit.
There's some other candidates there. But anyway, Chase Edmonds saw a usage uptick this week, but the money shot, the touchdown, the goal line runs still goes to James Conner, who has got to be a thorn in a lot of people's sides right now. Edmonds went 15 rushes for 81. He had 1 catch for 9 yards. Connor's 10 rushes for 64, so less carries than Edmonds had. But if you were starting one of them, you would have paid off quite a bit better if you'd started Connor. He was the one who actually scored. What do you think? Is this just going to be cheese nibbling and more cheese nibbling and whatever, or is one of these guys ever going to take over?
I think it will always be this cheese nibbling situation unless one of them gets hurt. I do think it was of note, though, that Edmonds finally practiced in full for the first time in 3 weeks, and he saw a season high in carries, a season high in snaps. It seems like he's officially back at this point, and he played 53% of the red zone snaps the last 3 weeks. I get that Connor gets the goal line snaps no matter what, but he only had 32% of those snaps in weeks 1 through 3. He's now taken over in terms of the red zone back. Connor's still going to get that short yardage, the plunge situations, but it's just encouraging to see. I think he is a nice buy low to see Edmonds get healthy and see these types of upticks in his usage. Another guy that might have been a sell high was Myles Gaskin, but we get Malcolm Brown going to the IR. This could open up at least a few weeks of usability for Gaskin, who did see 15 carries, 67 yards, as well as 4 catches, 10 yards, and a score. Big day for Gaskin. Big day with Malcolm Brown, who got the start. It is probably going to be another mind-numbing situation because, again, Brown did start, but he's going to be gone for at least the next 3 weeks. Maybe Ahmed also becomes viable. 7 carries, 26 yards, 2 catches, another 26 yards for really desperate situations. And based on the questions we got yesterday, there are some desperate running back situations out there. So I did want to mention him as a potential bye week type of waiver wire pickup, but it's really probably going to be the Gaskin show these next few weeks. And if we do get Watson there, we might see Gaskin's value really start to take off. So he also got cut in a lot of leagues out of frustration last week. Go check it out and see if Gaskin's out there for cheap right now.
Samaji Piron, he is worth a roster spot because Mixon's usage was maybe a little discouraging. Mixon actually only outcarried Piron 12 to 11. They put up very similar yardage. They each had a touchdown. I mean, they had very close stat lines, although Piron had a catch for 23 yards and Mixon didn't have any receptions in the game, which really caps, your bell cow, your 3-down back type production that we're looking for somebody like Mixon. Do you think this is a one-game thing? No, a lot of the work came when they were up 3 scores.
Yeah, I think that's a good amount of it is in close games. I imagine a lot of that work remains with Mixon, but Piron's shown he's no slouch. He's not this plotter everyone thinks him to be. He's playing really well since he's arrived with the Bengals, and it's got some real handcuff with benefits type of feel to it. Mixon obviously is no stranger to injuries, and Piron, when he gets work, clearly produces. So a guy that I think needs to be rostered in pretty much every league at this point moving forward, as does Michael Carter. It doesn't look all that encouraging when you look at the final stats, given that Ty Johnson started the game. Ty Johnson had 6 catches for 65 yards. He was the guy to go in goal-to-goal situations with no Tevin Coleman being there. But then you look at the numbers further. We also saw him play, Michael Carter, see 20 running back opportunities in terms of carries and targets compared to 12 for Johnson. He had 72% of the snaps, Michael Carter did, 60% of the routes, 9 targets. He ended up also having 67 receiving yards himself, in addition to 37 on the ground. It was actually a pretty encouraging week when it looked like it could have been a downfall with Ty Johnson starting and seeing the work he did early on. Carter ended up cleaning up late there. So just wanted to make note of him. Don't cut bait yet. He seems like he could be the guy moving forward. We're going to now go to wide receivers, guys. But as we do, this is the most loaded position. It'll take us about 10 minutes or so to get through them. We'll wrap up with a handful of tight ends. And then by, let's call it 7:50, we'll be hitting all your questions. We got 52 in the mailbag, so we definitely want to hit those.
Guys, most of you know how we work. If you're asking questions about sit starts, stuff like that, we're going to get to them, we promise. Be patient, and like Wolf says, 15 minutes we'll probably be onto the mailbag, okay?
And if you have a desperation sit start tonight, we do want to reemphasize that the super chat will get you right to the top of our radar, and we'll make sure to answer that with nice, good depth. We got a very good, very generous last few. We did come through for the T. Higgins, Jarvis Landry.
I know.
Hey, nice, the $50 super chat. So if you're tuned in here, thank you for that support. We came through with you. Willard coming through with a $20 super chat on Sunday. The people have just been great. We really, really appreciate your guys supporting the show. Not necessary by any means, but if you have a desperation question tonight, that's the easiest way to make sure it gets answered.
All right, let's so we can honor that. Let's get right into receivers. Let's talk Bengals wide receivers. Let's talk about Jamar Chase. Let's talk about T. Higgins, and let's talk about Tyler Boyd even. How about that? Interesting thing about this, everybody knows the game that Jamar Chase had. I mean, the guy had over 200 yards, 8 out of 10 catches, and a touchdown. I mean, it just had a monster game, and the guy just completely reeks of being the real deal. Interesting. So, I mean, not really much else to say about Jamar Chase except that. I can't really say anything better about him. Interesting thing, T. Higgins is the target hog on this offense. Yeah. He's actually the guy getting the most targets. So if you're a Higgins owner, I would find that pretty encouraging, to tell you the truth. Tyler Boyd, 3rd in everything. Maybe 4th if you count Uzomah.
Exactly. It's wild to me. I mean, the production hasn't been quite there for Higgins. It's crazy how efficient Jamar Chase is. And every week it's like, can he sustain this? And we always say we think so because he's an elite talent, but it just keeps getting better and better. It's insane. He actually broke the most tackles. He has 3 this season. He had, 5.29 yards per route run. That's insane efficiency there. But as you said, Higgins, 15 targets this week, 13 the week before, so 28 over his last 2.5 games. Very impressive stuff from him. I do think he might be a sneaky buy low because, yes, Chase is the number 1. It's no doubt about it. But I do think there's some nice volume there for T. Higgins, especially towards the end zone. Meanwhile, as we said last week and just reaffirmed this week, Tyler Boyd, very, very cuttable. 4 catches for 39 yards, pathetic distant 3rd, which is exactly how we envisioned it. But it's playing out to probably be even worse than we did. Let's talk about another trio of receivers, or really like one alpha and then everybody else. Cooper Kupp. I know I should have saved this one for you to go off on that because that's your boy. 10 catches, 13 targets, 156 yards, 2 TDs. Insane. Far and away the number one guy. We had that 1 week where Woods cried about his targets and saw 14 of them and had like a decent day, but he just went 6 for 70. Not even a second at this point, like a distant third. Given that Van Jefferson saw more targets than him, 7 targets, 4 catches, 43 and a TD. Van Jefferson's only 100 yards away from what Woods has been doing this year. Meanwhile, we've got Cooper Kupp on an insane pace. You want to know how crazy this is? We all talk about how good Davante Adams was last year. Historic wide receiver. He set records for the amount of fantasy points he was putting up, 25.6 per game. Cooper Kupp is right now averaging 27.2. Nearly 30 points a game, more than what Davante Adams was doing last year. This is insane. And every time it's like he should cool off, right? But no, this is it. Him and Stafford, it's just insane, this rapport. There's no cooling this off, right?
Thank you. No, there's not. And thank you to Mitch. He just threw up $10 for us with a super sticker there. I'm not sure what a super sticker even is, but Mitch, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hell yeah. A super sticker doesn't even have a comment. I don't know what that means, but you're the fucking man, Mitch. Thank you.
It's like getting a patch saying RSJ Superfan. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Can Kupp keep it up? Who would you rather have right now, Chase or Kupp?
I'd rather have Kupp. Yeah, the volume steadier. He hasn't seen below 10 targets in a single game yet. Right? Like insane.
Not even once. Not even once. And also just a little piece of trivia in my league in the auction. Cooper Kupp, $19 went to me. Same price that was paid for Mike Evans. No, Mike Davis. Mike Davis.
Oh God, I was gonna say Evans isn't like
no.
No.
My point. Mike Davis, Cooper Kupp valued evenly at the beginning.
That's horrendous.
Let's talk about wide receivers. And Antonio Brown was out this week, and when one of those guys is out, the other guys kind of go nuts. Mike Evans went nuts. 6 out of 10 targets, 76 yards, including Tom Brady's 600th, which he briefly gave away. Also scored 3 touchdowns. That is a monster game by any standards. Meanwhile, Chris Godwin, 8 out of 11 for 111 and a touchdown. They both ate, and probably because AB was out. AB's coming back. They're all probably still going to eat. But when one of them's out, you can count on major bumps for the other guys.
Exactly. That's really the summary there. Jalen Waddle somehow has only started in like 50% of leagues in both ESPN and Yahoo this week. He should be locked in the lineups moving forward. And that, of course, is going to be driven home even further should Deshaun Watson get there. But 8 targets, 7 catches, 83 yards, the career high for him. He now is 11th in the NFL in wide receiver targets. The guy is playing sneaky great ball, and it's kind of overshadowed because Miami just really sucks. But this guy's having a very solid rookie year, and he still hasn't really been his deep speed, which is one of his best assets, hasn't really been utilized. So this guy is a blow-up candidate, especially if Deshaun Watson arrives there. If you can sneaky buy low at this point, and like people recognize he's doing well, but I still think whatever offer you make is probably going to be lower than what his season-long value is moving forward. I really like this guy.
All right, we got to move here. Ravens wide receivers, Marquise Brown, 5 catches on 14 targets. 14 targets is nice. And he had a great touchdown catch. It went for 80 yards, and he also had that touchdown that I talked about in the Ravens loss to the Bengals. Rashad Bateman, meanwhile, needs to be rostered in all formats because basically they only threw the ball to 3 people, and he was one of them. He's only 32% rostered. So, I mean, I don't know if you have any belief in this passing game, and we have seen some real promise in it, I think, more than I actually would have given him credit for at the beginning of the year. Bateman's a guy you should pick up.
Yeah, I'm just so sad I was burned so bad by Marquise Brown last year because dating back to last year, 10 of his last 13 games, he has a touchdown in, 5 of 7 this year. He's been unbelievable. And the 14 targets just confirmed. Yes, Bateman coming in last week, 22% target share. He seemed like he could be the alpha. This is still Marquise Brown's receiving core. Bateman, a great 1B, 2-ish type of player, and he's looking good. Some big plays, good chunks after the catch. I love what I'm seeing here. But this is definitely still the Marquise Brown show. We mentioned Allen Lazard as a potential streamer. He did score another touchdown, 2nd straight game, 5 catches for 60 yards. And now with Davante Adams potentially out, he might be the number 1. So definitely a guy we'll talk about in more depth tomorrow on the waiver wire show. But keep him in mind as you make your pickups.
Maybe time to cut Brandon Ayuk, although really it might have been time to do that several weeks ago. I believe he had 1 catch for 6 yards. I believe that Ayuk has 9 receptions on the year, 9 catches. Meanwhile, Cooper Kupp had 10 yesterday.
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel, meanwhile, the contrast to that seems to be completely matchup proof. The guy is amazing. And he has to be because as far as I can tell, he's the only one that gets any passes thrown his way. And why would you throw to anybody else, frankly? It really seems like they're missing George Kittle. I know he kind of underperformed when he was in. We thought he'd be more than that. I think they're really, really missing him right now. Aiyuk just not getting it done, and Samuel just a complete monster.
Yeah, 20 yards to their backup tight end, Charlie Warner, was the next closest. Deebo Samuel's the only weapon through the air that's doing anything here. One of the best picks you could have made this year. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a popular pickup these last couple of weeks after seeing 7 or more targets in 3 straight games, doesn't get a single one against the Rams. He did have the Jalen Ramsey treatment. That's kind of brutal. But Khalif Raymond, meanwhile, 8 targets, 6 catches, 115. Maybe he's the guy moving forward. It is one of those offenses that is horrible, but they often will have to throw so much late that volume does come. And now it's clearly not the Hawkinson show at this point anymore. Maybe Raymond a decent stab moving forward. You did talk about hate cuts, though. I gotta take this one, Allen Robinson.
Go. I don't even know why we're talking about this guy anymore.
I've been advocating to cut this guy for weeks, and everyone on Twitter, no, try to trade him. Like, you can get something for him. Put him in a package. Who in their right goddamn mind is trying to trade for Allen Robinson? Trust me, I tried, and nobody is. I mean, Kevin Rice texted me. He was able to somehow ship Allen Robinson and Odell Beckham to get, I think it was DJ Moore, which is actually an insane value. Well done, Kevin Rice. So I guess there are some people that will still bite name values. If this guy doesn't get traded, though, and he's got one more week to get traded to another team. If that doesn't happen, he has not been above the wide receiver 46 in a single week. He's the wide receiver 60, just behind Mr. Byron Pringle on the season.
This is also on this list.
Awful. It's insane. It's pathetic. Yeah, we might as well move to him.
Go ahead.
But yeah, this is just a pathetic third-round pick, the bust of the year, in my opinion, at this point. It can't. How could it be anybody else? Awful.
Talk about Byron Pringle because you just brought him up.
Yeah, I mean, he did lead the team in wide receiving. 5 catches on 6 targets. Both were team highs, 73 yards, more than Tyreek Hill, and also more than McCole Hardman, who had 28 yards on 5 targets. It seems to me like Pringle's starting to take this role over. He's not all that special, but maybe if Mahomes gets this thing rolling again, their number 2 receiver could have value. Either way, Hardman, a popular stream in recent weeks. I think it's time to send that guy packing. A.J.
Brown. We've dumped on him quite a bit, but he had a wide receiver 1-esque game today or yesterday. 8 receptions on 9 targets, 133 yards and a score. Now, granted, the Chiefs not known for their great pass defense at all. Still, that was really encouraging to see. Some people really spent a lot of money to get A.J. Brown earlier in the year, and he just has been disappointing. He did get this week, he looked at a 33.3% target share. That was pretty nice for spreading the ball around. Down actually from 36% the week before. Think he's here to stay?
Oh, yeah, he's back. He looked fully healthy. That's kind of what I was wanting to see. Contested catches after the catch, looking like a monster. Pittman reemerges in alpha too. Only 4 targets, but catches them all for 105 and a TD. I want to see what he does without Hilton, with Hilton back, because he's been a monster every single game other than the one T.Y. was in. I wonder if that will remain the case, if T.Y. is going to have that big of an impact moving forward, because damn, this guy is good if and when he's playing as the lone number 1.
All right, we'll talk Panthers wide receivers real quick. We talked about how much Darnold has struggled. DJ Moore caught 6 out of 10 for 73 yards, and Robbie Anderson caught 3 out of 9 for 14 yards. Nothing to get too excited about there.
No, just the amount of targets that Robbie Anderson saw, 20.6% target share. He's had 38 targets these last couple of weeks and turned him into 13 receptions. Very inefficient, pathetic. He needs another quarterback. Deshaun Watson would do wonders for that guy. And even though DJ Moore is clearly the number 1, I brought him up because he went from 15.4, 21.9, 20.5, 31.9 PPR points through his first 4 weeks to now have 8.8, 10.9, 13.3. This is the DJ Moore that I've been low on for quite some time. I'm really hoping a new quarterback can come here and inject some life in him, because it was looking like he finally had his season turned around. But man, this Darnold collapse has been brutal. And the last receiving core we need to talk about is the Cardinals, with Zach Ertz coming there, who we're going to talk about momentarily. Rondale Moore was the odd man out. Only 37 snaps, under half of them. 16 routes run, well under half there. Only 3 targets, 17 yards on 2 catches from there. He's just as good as he is, as talented as he is. He's the odd man out here, especially with AJ Green, another 66-yard game, 3 targets. Christian Kirk finding the end zone, racking up 60 yards. It's clear that Moore is below all these guys, and especially now, even Zach Ertz, as we now get into tight ends.
Give us a like as we get into tight end. Slim74. I know we're not in the question segment yet, but he slipped us $5 and he says, hold for Dalton. Hold for Dalton. The Bears fans realize now Nagy was right about Fields. A-Rob is a wide receiver one with Dalton. Love it. Man. Thanks for the support, Slim.
Thanks so much for the support. We really appreciate it. And I cannot say I agree. It can't be worse for him to have Andy Dalton, but if it's Andy Dalton, I'm still cutting him.
All right, let's fly through these tight ends so we can hit this mailbag. It's pretty good size. How many we got so far?
We're up to like 60 something. Yeah, hell yeah. Let's get a good Monday mailbag, baby.
Dallas Goedert, he's emerged as a weekly tight end one. Obviously, Ertz departing. He caught 3 out of 5 of his targets. Got yards in his loss to the Raiders, but still, this is pretty encouraging. He was in for 93% of the snaps. That's a lot. Yeah. 88% routes. Like we said, 5 targets. That's a 15% share. Not too bad. If you picked Goddard off waivers, you probably feel pretty good about that right now.
Yeah, the Ertz first game without Ertz, every down guy as we hoped and expected. It wasn't a huge stat line, but definitely encouraging in terms of usage perspective. Just want to reemphasize, Gesicki is an every week top 6 tight end. I get set starts about him every week. I don't understand how. 7 catches, 85 yards, and a TD. He's now been the tight end 3, 7, 17, 1 dud, tight end 2, and tight end 3. So top 3 in 3 of his last 5, top 7 in 4 of his last 5. The volume is insane. Tua loves him. All the quarterbacks love him there. And why shouldn't they? He's an athletic freak.
CJ Uzomah, I mentioned him before. You start this guy every week also. I mean, we're actually starting to get like a group of maybe like 8 tight ends that you pretty much are going to start every week now. It was kind of a grab bag for a while after the top 3 or 4. This guy, 3 catches on 3 targets, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns, looked like a monster on one of those things. And he scored 5 touchdowns in the last 4 games. That's nothing to like sneeze at. So this guy's the real deal. Pretty much everybody on the Bengals went off except Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, that's part of why Boyd is so droppable. As Uzomah is the clear top option ahead of him at this point. Kyle Pitts, coming off the bye, was he going to have a good encore? That was our must-watch story of the week. 7 catches and 163 yards. I'd call that a pretty solid encore. 18.5 average depth of target. The guy is going deep. He played 36% of his snaps lined out wide. That's the highest in the league among tight ends. He had catches for 23, 13, 39, 26, 11, 23, and 28 yards. That's what his 7 catches were. You can hear how deep so many of those were, and they were all like over the shoulder in the breadbasket. Defenders draped over him. The guy was making these insane routine. It's just ridiculous how talented this guy is, and it is clearly here to stay. Love Kyle Pitts, the top 3 guy moving forward at tight end.
On the Cardinals, as Rondale is falling through the floor, Ertz possibly punching his head up through the ceiling. You liked Ertz before this game. He did score. So anytime a tight end scores, you pretty much say they have a good game. You'd say he was by far the most used tight end out there for 35 snaps, ran 20 routes. No other tight end on their team ran more than 4. And he actually ran more routes than Rondale Moore even ran, even though the guy's a wide receiver and played more snaps than Ertz did. So do you think he's here to stay? Yeah,
66 yards and a TD. I mean, a lot of that did come on a 47-yard rip up the middle. Would have been a pretty dud week otherwise, but that's what this offense does. It generates these types of opportunities given all the weaponry they have. Clearly, he's here to stay. The last guy to mention was Ali Cox. He now has back-to-back games with scores, 25 yards, and a TD. He's got 50 or more yards and a TD in all of his last 4 games. Seems to be pretty involved at this point. He's big body, big athletic freak. So I like to stash him in leagues where I'm desperate at tight end. All righty, Matt. Let us now hit the
mailbag. We did it. We really upped it there at the end. That was big. Flying through it. All right, we got a lot of guys that want their questions answered, so let's do it. Denny Jennings.
Get those thumbs up for us. Let us get out to more people, guys. We got 40 of you live. Love to see it. Get those thumbs up for you if you like what you're hearing. We appreciate you guys being here so much. We'll get through them all before kickoff. Let's do it.
Denny says, "What's up, gentlemen?" And then he says, "I need 28 points from Callaway, half point PPR. Let's fucking go."
2 touchdowns, baby. Let's get him deep. Let's get those scores for you, Denny Jennings. I would love to see nothing.
Seamus, love you guys. This dance teacher needs nothing tonight. I've already won both my matchups, and I'm in first in both of my leagues. Yes, so what else is new? This guy is a fantasy monster. They're out for blood, but they ain't going to catch these quick feet. Thank you for the guidance and help. Anytime, Seamus, you're like one of the best walking advertisements or dancing advertisements that we have going right now at RSJ, because you just pretty much win titles. That's all you do.
He's 7-0 right now, Nat. He's got Cooper Kupp, which is, he sent
And
me
he
some
loves
pretty,
Cooper Kupp too. He loves
the
it.
things that Seamus wants to do to Cooper Kupp. I've learned over the weekend, and they as graphic as they deserve to be, because Cooper Kupp is just an absolute stud. But we love you, Seamus. You're the fucking man. We're doing a documentary on Seamus. We need to get that wrapped up.
Oh yeah, I'd love to be part of that.
Oh yeah.
Mike Schneider, 1-6 turnaround is looking good versus the Rodgers-Adams stack, but not good for my Rodgers-Adams stack in Dynasty. Well, can't win them all, Mike.
Yeah, but you got to hopefully turn that around on Thursday night this week for sure.
Jeff Lee, I went back and hit the like button for the last 15 videos you guys did today. You guys are that good. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Yeah, Jeff. What a legend that is. Oh my God, supporting the site like that. You're the man, Jeff Lee. Thank you so much, dude.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Robert Moreno tied at 131. I have Callaway. He has Kamara and the Saints D tonight. Not looking good.
I don't know if we have a question mark attached to that. Yeah, Callaway versus Kamara is not looking good.
I'm like trying to like put a spin on it, so now it doesn't look that good.
That does not look
good. Luck,
I mean,
though.
You never know. Callaway is the type of receiver that, like, if you need someone to take down Kamara, he has a very low chance of doing it.
Kamara hasn't been the Kamara of past years.
You just never know. That could be. I mean, the Seahawks have one of the worst run Ds in the league. I think Kamara is going to smash tonight.
I think so.
But hey, you never fucking know. This could be a blow up spot for Callaway. I hope it happens for you, Moreno. I'm starting him. I need like 6 points, so I don't really need what you need. But let's get it. Let's get a Callaway blow up tonight, baby.
Uriel says Robinson of Jacks. It's good.
He's good.
Yeah,
he's very solid. He's a top 8 move running back moving forward, definitely.
Jeremiah Moore, McKissic got more snaps than Gibson. Not great to see as a Gibson owner. No, it's sure not. We actually talked about that. Gibson's route running was down to like 21% too, something like that.
Brutal. 5% target share, 20% routes. It was bad, Jeremiah. It's not good any way you slice it.
Bulldog 0921 smash the like. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Everybody there.
You should all emulate Bulldog 0921.
Absolutely. And if you like what you hear and you haven't already subbed, make sure to do that. Hit the bell so you know when we're live so we can get to all your questions throughout the rest of this year.
Ben says, what's up, fellas? No questions. Already secured a 5-0 week for my teams. Nice job. Just need the Seahawks to cover plus 5.5 to win my pick'em pool this week.
Ooh, okay. Good luck with that one. I hope you take it down. What's the prize, Ben? Let us know.
Taylor Malone, I need Callaway to drop at least 12 in half PPR tonight. That's better than the 28 that someone else needed. So that seems a little more manageable.
I think, one long touchdown and you might get that, Taylor. So fingers crossed. That's the rub with Callaway. It might be one catch for 3 yards. It might be 2 touchdowns and 150. You never know with this guy. Let's see what happens.
Roth says Penny could become a workhorse. Definitely is worth stashing.
So you liked our stash recommendation? I agree. 100% ahead of the game. Why not stash him and see what happens? I think Traquan Smith also falls in that category to a much lesser degree, but he's also much more widely available. So I want to throw him up there.
Jeremiah says, in one league, I started out 0-4. Oof. But I've won 3 straight. I'm making my way back. I'll be tied for 5th in a 10-team league. It's all about momentum too, dude. You got to feel good about that.
That's what I love to hear, Jeremiah. Rolling the right way, baby. I love to hear it.
Mike Clay, gut feeling is to drop Collins for Callaway tonight. Down 30, LOL. Catch is it would leave me thin at running back. Aaron Jones and D. Williams. Carson's on the IR. What do you guys think?
I mean, if you need 30, Callaway has a far better chance of hitting that than Collins. Collins is the better overall play for like 10 to 15. Yep. But if it's going to leave you real thin at running back and you're probably going to lose anyways, like Callaway's probably not going to get 30. I'm sorry to say it, Mike Clay. You might just eat this L for the sake of your team and keep the running back depth moving forward since you have Carson as well. Oh, man. You could go for the dice roll. It certainly has the better shot at it. But, yeah, I wouldn't go for that. We got this guy.
Brandon Williams says, everybody drop Julio Jones and Damon Williams now. And he said it 5 times, so he's really serious about it.
Yeah, he's going to go in timeout for that repeated comment. But, yes, drop Damian Williams for sure. Julio Jones, I think he's still worth holding on to myself. This was the wrong one. Hold on. Let me get back.
I lost my place a little bit there.
Here we are.
Mitch Chavez. What? Mahomes traded like that? Yeah, Mitch, did you see Mahomes the other day?
Yeah. Yesterday he called CJ the truth. Or no, he called you. He called
me CJ on Thursday, but he's making up for it now. And he gave us a star sticker, so it's all good, Mitch.
There we go. We really appreciate the support, Mitch. No doubt.
Our guy Jeff, who we love too, says, when, if ever, will Ridley rebound? I'd love to know the answer to that, Jeff.
I mean, he's seen 20+% of the target share every single week.
Yeah, he got 10 targets this week.
The usage is there, and the offense is starting to kick it around. Like, I feel better than I did, certainly after the first few weeks, given how much better the Falcons just look as a whole. So I think the rebound's coming. He's one of my favorite buy lows, and I wasn't really interested in buying low just a couple weeks ago. I think he's on the right path for sure.
Roth says just traded for Ridley, hopefully soon.
I think so. I think you got a good one in that one.
Mike wants to know if Corey Davis's outlook is better with Flacco. Isn't everything better with Flacco?
Yeah, right? Flacco does typically actually pepper his number ones, though. There is a big track record of that. So, yeah, I guess so in that sense, although Flacco just sucks. So, like, now that Wilson was anything better, I guess it can't be that much worse than what Wilson was doing. But, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here, like, victory lapping Flacco's arrival either.
Denny says, could you imagine if Hurts played well for 4 quarters? Honestly, right? Denny, no, I can't.
It's unfathomable at this point, but at least you get that fourth.
Mike Schneider says, me trading A-Rod for Marvin Jones is looking real good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You stole him at that point.
John says, do I stash Deshaun in a redraft? He's not on a roster in my league. He wants to play for the Dolphins. He has a no trade clause. I got Wolf Fuller off waivers during bye week hell.
And that's his old boy from the Texans. I absolutely think you stash Deshaun, whether he goes to the Dolphins, whether he goes, ideally, in my case, to the Panthers. I think he absolutely comes right in the top 10 QB value. You should absolutely stash this guy, no doubt about it.
Brad says, I'm up 2.6 points. Is it worth starting Jameis, or is it not worth the risk of him throwing multiple picks and getting matched? So I'm assuming the other guy's done.
Oh, man.
You're up 2.6. I mean, I understand why you're asking this question. I've actually lost a game like this before. I don't know. What do you think, Wolf?
This is a really tough one. I mean, it depends. Like in my situation right now, I'm pretty low in points, but I'm highly ranked in the leagues. I'm churning out wins. I would probably have to play him and try to get the points. If you're pretty good on points right now, Brad Brady, and you're like, I just don't want to risk it, I'd bench him. Like, and I get John's in the same position because of all the QBs in the league to get you -2 or -3,
he's your guy. Him and Davis Mills.
Exactly. I don't think it's likely, and I think he'll probably get you 15 and be fine at least. So I'd probably play him. But I mean, I could see it. If you're good at points and you don't need that boost this week, bench him. Like, why risk it at that point?
Eli Manning lost me a game like that like 10 years ago, and I'm still just livid about it. I'm so mad. Mike Schneider dropping Trey Sermon happened last week for me. Mike,
it should have happened for
as usual, right?
It should have happened for
Brant Hebel, Callaway or Collins tonight? All caps.
This one is, I hate to sound like a cop-out one, but if you need 7 to 10, you want Collins. A sure bet for, I guess it shouldn't be sure because of the groin, but most likely going to see 10 to 15 touches. Looked great last week. If you need 20, you need a blow-up. I think Callaway has the better shot at that. So it really all depends on what you need in a vacuum. I honestly think I like Callaway, but bigger risk to disappear on you completely.
My pick would be Callaway, but I understand why the Wolves hedging a little bit. Yeah. Jeff Lee, Ridley is inefficient based on targets. He's kind of like an RB2. I hope it's in week 8 against Carolina that he bounces back.
And they might have Stephon Gilmore on him, so you might have to wait one more week after that. So we'll see.
Denny says, according to the clueless coach, he said Sanders is week to week and is not ruling him out this week. This coach is a joke.
Yes,
coming right from the horse's mouth. Denny.
He's doing no favors for the Philly faithful there. He's going to be gone in 1 year, maybe 2 at most.
Brad says, I'm worried about the total points tiebreaker. You alluded to this, Wolf. At the end of the season, if I lose by 10 points or something after sitting my QB 1 week, it would really suck.
It would, absolutely. So I think you play him. I think most situations.
I would play him too. I'd play him too. You'd have to get real unlucky. It's not impossible, but I would play him. Taylor Malone, give Patterson and Amari Cooper for DeAndre Swift.
I know your league settings, and it's a little bit more shallow, so there's good people on the waivers, but I don't think so. I think Patterson's been that good. And it's clear he's just separating further and further that this isn't a fluke. You're going to have some more big games out of him. So I would keep this. I think Cooper's valuable enough that I want to keep this one.
I agree. I'm going to go down. Let's go down a couple more.
Yeah. We got a few to get through. Yep. There we go.
My running backs, Javonte and Edmonds together outscored my opponents, Henderson and Gibson. My wide receivers as well. AJ Brown and Waddle outscored his. Adams and Hopkins. I won my matchup with loads of buys. Nice job.
Love to hear it, N Savvy. Brag away, baby. That's a great win.
That's what we're here for.
Love to hear that.
Jeff said, I sat Dearness Thursday and I was sick. I could not focus LOL all week until Sunday when I won. I'm 7-1. Thanks. Jeff, it eats at me when I don't play a guy that I should have played.
It's the worst.
It really bothers me.
But Jeff, you were here on Thursday, were you not? Like, you're here for most of our streams. If not, I mean, we would have, I hope we didn't tell you to bench him because I think I can't remember anybody we told to bench Dearness. We were very high on him coming into the night. He panned out, but at least all is well that ends well, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad it all ended well.
Mahmoud says, hey, guys, is Cobb a good option with Adams out?
Good is a stretch, but usable. Yeah, definitely. And it's not guaranteed that Adams is out quite yet. We still have a couple tests to come in, and hopefully he does play. I need him real bad. But Yeah, he's definitely got a stash and potentially play.
Brad, this is so funny because this is the guy I brought up. Brad says there's only been one QB this year to get more than -3 in a game. That was Davis Mills with -4.32 in week 4. That was the guy that I said, other than Jameis, was your guy who could do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Jose says, for today, Troutman, Everett, or Jawan?
Oh, boy. I'd probably go for Everett there.
I'd say Everett.
Jawan's the best bet for the score, but yeah, I don't love any of those guys. I know, Brent, I think we got this one for you, but Collins, most likely the best play if you just need something steady, like 8 to 12. But if you need the blow up, it is Callaway for me.
We both kind of like Callaway in a vacuum, though. Mike Clay says need 25 from Callaway and the Saints D. It's possible.
That's doable. They're facing Geno. You could get like a 10 to 15 pointer from the Saints D. I got an 18 pointer from when they faced the Pats. And then you just need a big long bomb from Callaway. And I think he's due for it tonight. So yeah, I like, I mean, I shouldn't say I love your chances there, Clay. It's not great, but I'd give you like a 30% chance of getting that.
I think I'd give him a little better than that, actually.
Okay.
Brad Brady, you guys convinced me to start Fournette in week 6. Thank you. You're welcome.
Hell yeah. Glad to help. Thanks again, Mitch. I want to see, I don't know what the super sticker means. It's probably like a picture when we go to the site, but thank you so much. We really appreciate the support. Just a reminder, if there's anybody, we should get through all the questions, but if anybody wants to support the site or has an answer they need to get, the super chat is your fastest way to do so.
I wish the super sticker was of Mitch. I wish it was just
That'd be sweet.
Magic Mike, love your work, gents. Should I trade Jonathan Taylor and Julio Jones for Barkley and A.J. Brown in full PPR? I would not.
I don't Julio's kind of useless, though. It really, Barkley's...
He is, but Taylor's like, I consider him like a top 5 guy. I really do.
I do, too. That's what makes this tough. If I knew Barkley was back in a week or two, I'd say yes, because A.J. Brown's that much better than Julio, in my opinion. If Barkley's lingers, though, then this becomes a brutal trade for you, Magic Mike. Gun to my head, if I had to pull the trigger tonight, I would. But that's a risk. It's a big risk, and it depends on what your team's at. You know, can you absorb another week or two of Barkley being gone? A lot of factors at play, but I think I do like that trade in a vacuum.
I think I value Taylor more than anybody in that deal, though.
I do.
Really do. And that's even if Barkley's healthy, I do.
Yeah, he's the best player in the deal, even if Barkley's healthy. But I think A.J. Brown's that much of a upgrade over Julio. Like, Julio's useless. I mean, Julio's pathetic. As the other guy was saying, drop Julio a million times. He's useless. But, you know, yeah, we'll see.
Brad says, I feel like Higgins is bound for a breakout game soon. I do, too, if he's getting that sort of targeting. And he says, especially with the amount of attention Chase is going to attract.
100%. Yep, I think so.
Trade Tyreek for Kupp. I would rather have Kupp, so I don't know which side of that you're on. But if I could get Kupp, I'd get him.
Dare I say, I'm with you. I can't imagine ever saying that at the beginning of the year. But, man, yeah, Kupp's just 10 targets every single week, whereas Tyreek's more of the roller coaster, as we've come to expect from him. I'd rather have that steadiness. My brother, Sam, last week traded Christian McCaffrey to get Kupp, and I think that's one of the steals of the century, like at this point, to get Kupp for Christian McCaffrey.
He's not even playing.
Without him even playing, exactly.
All right, we can't really go through this one right now.
Yeah, that's too long, Zach. Sorry. Let me. What moves do I make? You got to be a little more specific than that. Denny
Jennings said, "Went golfing today. I found a 3-pack of brand new Callaway golf balls on the ground. It's a sign from the fantasy gods. Callaway's going off tonight, at least 30 points." Well, he says pints. I'm assuming he meant points.
Oh, hell yeah! I love it for points and pints, all of it. There's your sign, Mike. Mike Jennings. Mike Clay. Absolutely, Denny. I love it.
Thoughts on Marlon Mac? I picked him up as a speculative ad.
I mean, he could get traded before the deadline, and if he doesn't, then garbage. Who knows? Mitch with another super chat. Double super chat night from us, Mitch. You're the man. Thank you so much. It was a #1 fan sticker. Oh, I can't wait to see it. I really appreciate it. You're a legend. Double super chats, Mitch. Can't believe it. You're the man.
Then he says, trade Gainwell to the Sanders owner for Kittle or Ertz. Other RBs are Henry, Fournette, Gaskin, and Carter. My tight ends, Kelsey.
You don't seem to have a need for it, right? Just see what happens with Gainwell here.
Yeah.
I'm with it.
Seems unnecessary.
Yeah, absolutely. And Slim, thank you again for the support. We greatly appreciate that.
Is Mike Davis droppable? In my opinion, yes. Some people might disagree.
I think 100%.
Mike says, Denny Jennings, I never read the comments. I was asking God for a sign. Callaway everywhere. Let's go.
There we go. Let's hope he lights it up. That'd be incredible.
Ward says, someone dropped Christian McCaffrey in my league, and the commish picked him up on waivers. What gives? I'll tell you what gives. That's collusion and corruption right there.
That's Ward. Corruption, Ward. Yeah,
who's dropping Christian McCaffrey? Like, seriously.
Bring the torches out. Yeah, as bad and hurt as he's been, one, I thought he was locked and you couldn't even drop him. So the commissioner must have changed that somehow. And then two, not everybody got a fair shot at him. Like, does the waivers not give everybody a chance to bid or put in a claim like that? reeks of corruption and collusion, and your commissioner needs to get slapped in the face. That's awful.
Denny says, Mike Clay, the box of Callaways are sitting right next to me. Nice.
I love it.
Jeff says, I'm predicting Penny to put up 18.5 half-point PPR tonight, 9 carries, 3 receptions. I saved a spot for him to play tonight. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, if you
that would surprise me, Jeff.
If you're gonna play him, I mean, if you have a spot for him, why not play him, right? Like, it's not like it's gonna hurt your lineup to have him. If there's somebody else you're playing him over, I'd like to know, but that'd be a bold prediction. He's certainly got the talent when he's
18.5 points is a real game.
Limited glimpses. He's looked good. Like, he's a player that is capable of that, but with Geno as the quarterback, with the Saints' good run D, I'm not banking on that type of game.
Johnny Lau says, I'm thinking about stashing Tyrod coming off the IR. Should I drop Ruggs or Shepard from the bench? In my opinion, no, although I don't know the construct of your team. But Tyrod's not moving the needle for me, really. What do you think?
No. I mean, he had like 2 20-plus point days in his first 2 games this year.
But there's a lot of quarterbacks that do that, though.
It's just a matter of this. The only reason this would be somewhat considerable is if you're in a 2 QB league and you're looking at some desperate bye week fill-ins, because he does have a nice cakewalk schedule these next couple of weeks. But no, if you were dropping one of them, it'd be Ruggs. But the only justification would be in a 2 QB league. And even then, it's pretty fringe. It's pretty fringe.
What's up, Sarah? Sarah Riley says, less than 10 points between Mahomes and Mike Davis. Is it time to panic? I mean, yeah, like, I think so.
Mike Davis, 100%.
Mike Davis, like, it's beyond panicking. You should just probably get rid of the guy.
Yeah. He's
Mahomes, I'm concerned, definitely.
Definitely concerned for Mahomes, but I'm sure he'll turn it around. It's Mahomes.
Kurt says, I'm kind of glad I didn't listen, put McKissic in over Eli Mitchell. I had a feeling he was going to do pretty good. Hubbard hasn't been much help, and neither have Hill or Mahomes, but I am getting by. I'm glad
you did. Yeah, that was a good fade the wolf call. I was not high on Mitchell, and I'm glad you didn't listen on that one because he crushed it this last week.
Gabriel Jones, would you do Schultz, A-Rob, and Khalil Herbert for Waller?
Yeah, because I think
I
A-Rob is awful. I think Khalil Herbert, his value has come to a close as soon as Montgomery's back. And Schultz, with Gallup comes back, you're probably selling him high, and you're buying real low on Waller here, but the number 2 tight end as soon as it happens. Yeah, I think absolutely you do that.
Ben says $70 to the winner. He's talking about what his payoff is for his pool every week in the pool. 1,600 divided up amongst the top 3 at the end of the year. In the standings, I'm currently in second. All right.
Hell yeah, Ben. Good luck. Keep winning that thing, baby.
Jenny says that'll buy some beers.
Yeah, it sure will.
And he says, Ben says, Randy Moss picked the Seahawks to win, so I'm liking my odds. Straight cash, homie.
I love Randy. You always got
not too bad for a $50 buy-in at the beginning of the year. I'm already playing with house money. That's great.
Yeah, you already got the win. Then you're rolling, baby. House money's the best feeling.
Rush says, I have Adams. What bridge should I jump from? Whatever the closest one is to you.
Right, exactly. Such disappointing news, but don't pick too high of a one because
yeah, you'll be okay. You don't want to die.
No, it's something that maybe hurts you, so you feel a little pain, like snap the ankle a little bit or something. I'm with you there. I want to feel some pain after hearing the news on Adams, but it's at most a 1 week thing, and it might not even be a 1 week thing, right? So it's not like he's done for the year or anything of that nature. And let's hold off on the bridge jumping until we learn a bit more here. And if you need a bridge play, look at Alan Lazard. He's having a couple good weeks, and he might be the number 1 this week.
Earthly Link says, should I trust Alex Collins or roll with Rashad Penny? I'm down by less than 5.
I would go with Collins. Like, you got to go for the safety there. And he's the best bet to see 12 to 15. Yeah, we don't even know what Penny is right now. So yeah, I would go with Collins.
I agree. I'm nervous about the injury, but if he's playing, like, he's your guy, he'll get you 5 points.
Yeah.
Lamb Cup, should I trade Chase Edmonds and Christian Kirk for Darrell Henderson?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Henderson had his worst game of the year somehow against the Lions. I don't know how. That makes no sense to me. But before that, he'd been the running back 20 or higher in every week, had 15 or more every week before last week. He's rolling at one of the best offenses in the league. Absolutely do that deal.
Brandon says, love it, guys. Thank you for the shout out.
Timeout. We had to put him in timeout for commenting to drop Julio Jones and Damian Williams. And now he's back, and I love it. I love that you stuck with us, Brandon. Great to see you. Great.
Juke says, who's the best buy low receiver this week?
And you're welcome for the shout out, Brandon Williams. Best buy low receiver this week. It was AJ Brown for a while. Our guy Jackson has the great buy low column. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think, like, who's a guy that's been disappointing. It's not, A-Rob, you're not buying low on. He sucked. He's going to continue to suck. I feel like Keenan Allen hasn't really lit it up, and now he's out of his buy. Like, Herbert's looked really good.
I like Allen.
I think Allen could be a sneaky one. I think between him and Williams, we're going to see that production kind of. Williams has been crazy, and I think he's still going to be good, I think he's going to come down to earth a little bit, and Allen's going to rise. So I would say probably Keenan Allen is my guy. I don't know.
All right. Now Brandon asks multiple times, Kareem Hunt for Josh Jacobs.
I would rather have Jacobs there because we just don't know. Brendan, stop commenting the same questions. This is why you get put in a timeout. We're going to answer your questions, but please don't say them a million times. Then you get put in timeout and we can't keep asking them. I think this is a great reaction here where it says depends on your record, because Hunt down the stretch is probably going to be more valuable than Jacobs. We don't know what Jacobs' injury is right now either. It sounds like it's not serious. So if you need someone that's immediately plug and play after the bye next week, it would probably be Jacobs. Whereas if you have the patience to wait for Hunt these next couple of weeks, he's probably the more valuable guy. So this one's kind of up in the air there, in my opinion.
Danny says, thanks, brothers. And then he says, Callaway. And then Lamb Cup, this is the last question on the list. Would you still do the Henderson trade if it was Edmonds and Cortland Sutton instead of Christian Kirk?
That makes it tougher because Cortland Sutton's been a very high-end wide receiver too. I think he's third in the league in air yards right now. Like, those two aren't in the same stratosphere, Kirk versus Sutton. Like, I think I might still do it because I do think Sutton's due for a downturn with Judy coming back. But this gets tougher. That's no longer like you're clearly winning the trade, run away and smash that one. If you have the receiver depth to pull it off, I think you do it. But when it's Kirk and Edmonds, it's a no-brainer. This one becomes a bit tougher. I don't know that I smash that one. I don't know. That's tougher. It really depends on your receiver depth if you can pull that off.
Agree with that analysis. And that is it. And we're here. We made it by kickoff. Good job.
There we go, Truth. Great recap show. It's fun doing it with you. It's kind of boring usually by myself, just reading stats and snaps and answering people's questions. I loved having you here. So that was great. And guys, thank you guys for being here. Awesome audience. Lots of questions, about 100 on the night. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Would be so appreciated, as would subs. We're getting close to 2K. Would be awesome to hit 2,000 before the season ends. That would be awesome here, guys. Thank you so much for being with us. Find all our content at rotostreetjournal.com. We breed and feed fantasy wolves. If you prefer podcasts or need a podcast instead someday, you can always listen to this on the Fantasy Fullback Dive. We pave your path to 2021 titles. I don't know how to enforce collusion or how to complain when the commissioner's involved. I think you just got to take it to the commissioner's house and burn it to the ground. You
drive by slowly in the middle of the night with your interior lights on.
Yeah, this is like real life type of torture to the commissioner because you can't really do anything fantasy wise. He's got all the power, but you need to make his life hell. Ward Willis is what you got to do here. But thanks again so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Oh, here we go. 0-2. Thanks for some good and good advice. That's what I like to hear. To now being 24-2-1. Good stuff, Kurt.
Jesus.
That's
4-2-1. I was like,
that makes more sense.
2-1. It's amazing.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Yeah. But thank you guys. And again, I'll be updating my rest of season big board with all the players we talked about tonight. That'll be up later tonight, early tomorrow to check that out. I'll be live every day, Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Truth will be with me on Thursday, maybe even more shows. Who knows? Whenever Truth is welcome, you're always here for sure. But thanks again, guys. Thank you, Millie C. Great job. Lobos, which means wolf in Spanish, if you're not a Spanish speaker, Truth. But we are the Lobos. Yeah. Well, best of luck, guys. Let's go Callaway for Denny Jennings and all of us. Let's get these week 7 wins. Hopefully you get what you need. I'm the wolf.
I'm the truth.
The world full of fantasy sheep, guys. Be that wolf. Later.